Hey, it's our Edmonton Oilers reporter, Ryan Rishaug. Ryan, it's been 5 days since the Oilers eliminated the Stars and advanced to the Cup Final. How have they been preparing during their time off? Is there any update on Connor McDavid, who left the ice early on Sunday?
Yeah, Jay, full day off the ice today for the Edmonton Oilers. Chris Knoblauch said that they expect Connor McDavid to be back on the ice with the team at practice on Tuesday. So basically they got back on ice Sunday. That would have been Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning skate. 4 ice sessions before game number 1. Knoblauch felt that was a little bit much. So full skate yesterday. Nobody was on the ice on Monday. It'll be a full skate Tuesday, and then my guess is an optional on Wednesday. So kind of a balance there between conserving energy and preparation. But again, he did say McDavid expected to be on the ice tomorrow.
And Ryan, we know there's plenty of talent on both teams, but who are you looking at as a possible X factor for the Oilers?
Jay, I'm going to point to number 91, Evander Kane. Now, you will remember that in last year's Stanley Cup Final, they had him for a couple of games, but he was nowhere near close to being healthy enough. He actually talked on Monday about the fact he was having to take needles just to be able to be up and around and moving on off days. So he was significantly injured in that series. Coming into this year's Stanley Cup Final, a much healthier and able-bodied Evander Kane. And when you consider the fact that their hits leader, emotion leader from these playoffs, Zach Hyman's not available, that's a void that Evander Kane definitely has a chance to fill. He's got 68 hits so far in the playoffs. That's third on the team. He's got 5 goals, 6 assists, and 11 points. So considering this player was out of the lineup for the entire season, he has had a significant impact. And against this Florida team, you know, the fact that he has the physical prowess that he does, the fact that he can play a top 6 role and chip in, the fact that he's going to be extremely hungry after having to sit on the sidelines and watch last season in the Stanley Cup Final in a Game 7 loss, I think it'll be a pretty motivated Evander Kane and definitely could be an X factor.
Ryan, thank you for that. Now it's time to chat with our hockey analyst, Marty Biron, about the upcoming Stanley Cup Final between the Oilers and Florida Panthers. And Marty, the Panthers are trying to downplay the importance of home ice advantage in this series. Makes sense. They don't have it. However, they are 8-2 on the road in these playoffs. How much of a difference do you think it makes their success on the road coming into this series?
Well, obviously, they're a good road team, but you play all year to be able to get home ice advantage. Why? So that if there's a Game 7, you have it at home, you control the matchups. Ask the Florida Panthers how that worked out for them last year. Yeah, they were home, they won. It was the Cinderella story, whatnot. Now, the biggest thing for me is at the start of the series, think of last year. Florida only gave up 1 goal in the first 2 games to the Oilers. They controlled the matchups. They knew exactly how to counter McDavid, Draisaitl. They were on the same line. You get Barkov out there, and you set the tone to the series. Now it's a little bit different. Home ice advantage. The Oilers have it. They can control the matchups. They can put McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines and see if they can find some daylight and some offense by doing so. But if you have to put them together, you can, again, in the first 2 games, control that way, how you're going to deploy them. And I think it makes a big difference. Obviously, Game 7 is what you play home ice for. But I think the first 2 games in Edmonton, you should be happy to have home ice advantage because you have to do what Florida did to you last year and completely control the matchups in the first 2 games.
Marty, we talked yesterday about the goaltending matchups, about the defensive matchups. Now I want to talk about the forward groups. And you and I have been talking all playoffs about Edmonton's depth and how that's helped them get back to this point. But which of these 2 teams do you think actually has the stronger forward lineup?
Well, obviously, the Edmonton Oilers have the best 2 players in the series. I mean, McDavid, Draisaitl, they're by far the best players. But when you look at the depth up front, I know the Oilers can say we have better depth now and everybody's producing, but you got to give the depth to the Florida Panthers. They are so much deeper. And if you assume that the top 6 is going to play against one another, top 2 lines on the Oilers plays the top 2 lines on the Florida Panthers, it leaves the third line versus third line matchup, and that's not even close. Lundell, Luostarinen, and Marchand are so much better than obviously the Janmark line. And you just look at the points. 39 points for the Lundell line to only 15 from the Janmark line. So obviously that matchup favors the Florida Panthers. And then you look at the depth. Look, the Oilers may not be able to compete with the depth. Their top 2 players are going to have to carry the offense because when you get down the lineup, it's very much on the side of the Florida Panthers. And you can play Lundell against McDavid if you want and then free up Barkov. there's so much more flexibility with the Florida Panthers depth than there is on the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay, I want to revisit the TSN Top 50 Free Agents board, Marty. And the reason I want to do that is because at number 2, we have Sam Bennett, and at number 10, we have Aaron Ekblad. Do you think that this might be the last ride in Florida for either of these two players?
I think Sam Bennett stays. Look, I know everybody's saying, oh, man, look at how we'd love to have him and give him $9.5, $10 million. I think GMs are going to say, listen, this is way, way overpaid. If it's a guy that has got 51 points in the season, like you can't go out and pay that guy $9.5, $10 million. But I think the Florida Panthers and Sam Bennett are going to look at it and say, this is the perfect situation. He is the perfect player for that team. And look, we can sweeten the pot and give him the money, but it's not going to be 8, 9, 9.5. I think Bennett should stay there and build on the success that this team has had. When it looks to Aaron Ekblad, for me, he can chase the money. Why? Because there's only a handful and not in the same caliber of Aaron Ekblad, right shot, right defenseman available in the free agent market. So he can really dictate where he's going to go. And Florida really, they filled up that spot when they acquired Seth Jones. They can let Aaron Ekblad go and say, look, we have Seth Jones, we have Forsling, we have the defenseman depth that we still want to continue with, but we're not going to go out and pay for your services. We have a replacement already waiting now that we acquired at the deadline. So Ekblad, in my opinion, will have a lot of suitors, and it may be more for him to move. But Bennett, I think it's dreamland if everybody thinks that they're all going to get. There's 31 teams they're going to get Sam Bennett, and I think that it's going to stay the Florida Panthers.
I can't wait for tomorrow's show. Marty's going to be back with us tomorrow, and he will give us his Stanley Cup prediction. Thanks for this, Marty.